Hi, I'm Stephanie Dyer, and this is Escape into a Cause, the podcast that helps you disconnect from your screens and reconnect with your community by stepping up for nonprofits in Central Texas. I am no expert, but every week I get to learn from my friend and co-host, Courtney Dickey, who spent 15 years in the nonprofit world and just wrapped up her term as president of the Junior League of Austin. She and I talk about everything from philanthropy and altruism to community giving and the tough trade-offs behind where your time and dollars go. Then I get to sit down with nonprofit leaders who are doing the work right here in Austin and surrounding areas. And today, I had the honor of chatting with Dr. Johanna Moya Fábregas, the thoughtful and charismatic executive director of Con Mi Madre. She's lived in 5 countries, she's been a refugee, and if you've heard past episodes, you would know that when I talk about my 3 different high schools and 4 middle schools, I have nothing on her. She's done a lot, attending 14 different schools, all before graduating high school. Her parents, despite limited resources, instilled resilience, humor, and confidence, and now she leads a nonprofit that empowers young Latinas and their mothers through education and leadership development. As an immigrant herself, she knows firsthand how access to education can change a family's future. The work Con Mi Madre is doing is so inspiring. I love female leadership, generational impact, resilience, which is why I love that they are uplifting Latinas. Especially as Latinas continue to lead the way in entrepreneurship, there are over 1.5 million Latina-owned businesses in the U.S., generating $65 billion in revenue. And Latina entrepreneurs are launching businesses at a rate 6 times faster than the national average. But before we get to that conversation, Courtney and I dig into effective altruism, a movement that asks whether we should give based on emotion or impact. Should we fund an iconic art center or direct those same dollars towards global poverty relief? We touched on this in our Special Olympics of Central Texas episode, where we dived into emotional versus data-driven decision-making. Go check that one out. But now we're going a bit deeper. Let's get into it and then stick around for the incredible work Con Mi Madre is doing. I hope you enjoy. Hi, Courtney.
Hi, Steph.
I am excited that later today we are going to escape into Con Mi Madre. Did I say that right?
You did. I'm so excited.
I only took French in school.
You did it beautifully.
Oh.
With my mother.
With my mother.
Yeah.
And it's an organization uplifting Latina students and their mothers through education guidance and support from 6th grade to college. It's about strengthening families, building futures, and changing generational outcomes. And I know you love women leadership and women nonprofits.
Yes. And I have a big smile on my face because I'm a member of the Junior League of Austin. And Con Mi Madre is actually a program that came out of the Junior League of Austin. So in 1992, it started as the Hispanic Mother-Daughter Program. And the Junior League of Austin created it for all the reasons that you just mentioned, which was to encourage young Hispanic women to pursue college opportunities. And it actually became so successful and so large that we made the decision, I think like 2008, so was that 16 years later, to turn it into its own 501c3. So it's this beautiful story of incubating something, making it really successful, and then saying, you can go out on your own now. You don't need to be under the umbrella of the Junior League of Austin. So they've been surviving and thriving since then. I know the former executive director. I know a woman who sits on the board of directors now. It's just a phenomenal organization and a good success story.
And another reason to love the Junior League of Austin.
Another reason to love the Junior League of Austin. Yes.
I'm really looking forward to that. But first, we have a topic that matters.
Okay.
This one is definitely not linked at all to their cause.
Yeah.
But I did mention this ahead of the Special Olympics. There's only been one episode where you and I didn't get to chat together, and I talked about effective altruism. I know. I was so sad, but it was very last minute.
I bet it was fantastic.
Thank you.
Of course.
So we're going to dive back into effective altruism.
Great.
Because I think it's such an interesting topic, and we are only going to touch the tip of the iceberg, and there will be some effective altruist, EA, which is what they're known. There might be an EA listening that's like, no, you didn't get that right. But when I give the famous person who I believe developed this concept, the way that they think about it, or the way that he thought about it, is imagine you walk past a pond and you see a child drowning. You jump in to save him, even if it ruins your clothes.
Of course.
Okay. Now imagine you can spend the same money that would have replaced your outfit and instead save a real child's life halfway around the world. Isn't that equally urgent?
Oh, interesting. Is the hypothetical that you're still standing in front of the child drowning, but you're choosing to spend the money?
Well, the question right there is, all lives are created equal, regardless of their geography. So if you have someone right next to you that's about to die, and you would ruin your outfit to go save them, why would you not go and go spend that money to save a child across
That's
the
really
country?
interesting. So almost like a proximity.
Yes. An effective altruism, it emphasizes donating in ways that do the most good per dollar. Often measured through rigorous evidence and cost effectiveness, the philosophy tends to prioritize global giving over local giving just because we are a wealthier country and, right, children mortality rates, education is worse abroad.
Yes.
Okay. And
in some countries.
in some, which we've learned.
I know.
Factfulness,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Which is why I was so interested by reading how the world is doing so much better, because then you have someone that's talking about how terrible the world is from an EA perspective.
I know. You're about to dive into EA, but I'm wondering what assumptions have been made and what assumptions underlie this theory. I'm excited. All right.
We do know that Hans Rosling from Factfulness thinks that most people, even experts, get it wrong on how terrible people think the world is doing, but the world is doing much better.
Agreed.
Which should make you feel a little bit better about giving locally to your community.
That's right.
I did read an article, and I wanted to just dial into this article. Vox has Future Perfect, which is a lot about philanthropy.
Okay.
This article was written by Dylan Matthews of December of 2024. And I'm going to tell you real quick the story, and I want to get your thoughts before I share maybe his thoughts and maybe the point of view of an effective altruist. In September of 1973, the hi-fi sound equipment mogul Avery Fisher made a massive gift of $10 million, which is about $70 million in today's dollars, to the New York Philharmonic. And in thanks, Lincoln Center renamed the venue after him, called the Avery Fisher Hall. And Fisher was reportedly reluctant at first to agree to put his name, but the donation still specified, and ultimately his name was to be used in perpetuity. Let's fast forward. That was 1973. Now we're in 2015. Lincoln Center wanted more money. And the record company billionaire David Geffen, do you know who that is?
No.
I do not either. David Geffen wanted to put his name on the venue.
And he was willing to give a lot of money.
He was willing to give a lot of money, a gift of $100 million to Lincoln Center. Perhaps more importantly, though, Lincoln Center had to pay $15 million to Fisher's descendants so that they would not sue. What that means is that the most prominent cultural organization in New York City lit $15 million on fire. So that
for
his name,
$75 million.
So his name could be on the hall. The journalist says this is just a bribe for his own vanity.
Agreed.
Yeah.
If you really just cared, you just care.
That's right. Okay. First, what are your thoughts about that?
I think the journalist is right to point it out. Are you passionate about the cause and furthering the arts and supporting, to your point, this iconic musical and theatrical venue? Or are you more passionate about having your name associated with the building and making sure that you get credit for such donation? And to me, to withhold the funding unless my name is on the building, which I'm sure, again, not knowing any of the other history, I am sure the Lincoln Center also said, we'd love to put your name somewhere else. We'd love to do this instead. We've got this rock in the way. And instead, they had to light $15 million on fire.
Yeah.
And instead of receiving $100 million, they received 75. Yeah.
85.
Oh, 85, of course, yes. 100 minus 15.
Okay, my math was bad earlier.
Yeah.
I definitely disagree with lighting it on fire. Like that concept, that seems horrible. I'm still torn. Okay, so these philanthropy lists, we know that's giving more money towards charities because wealthy people love status.
Yeah.
They're more likely to give money if there's some recognition of their status. Now, let's get away from billionaires. Most people surveyed after volunteering or giving money that they
recognition
did like being recognized.
I know.
It's kind of human.
It's very human. This, though, I think is a little bit of an exception because they had to be recognized in a certain way.
And just lighting so much on fire. Yes. Millions.
You know what would make the story better?
Yeah, let's hear it.
If he had to pay the $15 million to the heirs of the estate as opposed to the school.
And my thought also is, yes, but he probably would have just given $85 million to them.
That's
and
a
then
good point.
$15 million.
That's
you don't
fair.
know where he was going to land at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And maybe it had to come from, I
That's
don't know
a good
how
point.
this works. But you're a lawyer. Maybe you have more insight than I do. So the journalist goes on, and he really ties this with EA, the concept of effective altruism. He says 586,000 people, most of them children under the age of 5, died of malaria that year, a disease that is easily treatable and preventable. So you see where this is going.
Of course.
Okay. $15 million to get your name on there when
could have potentially eradicated
a lot of people.
Absolutely.
And there are some critics of EA. So there was a piece in the New York Times that criticized it, warning that we're at risk of giving too much money to malaria and not enough money to less optimized causes. And that effective altruism actually asks us to use reason and evidence and to find the charitable causes that can do the most good per dollar and not be able to give to things that make us feel good.
Yeah. And emotional interest is such a key component of philanthropy.
It is. But I would argue, and I think this journalist argues it as well, is that still a significant amount of donations are made by your heart.
Completely. We read that too when we were reviewing why do people give and why do they give to certain philanthropies or causes over others. And it's because they're passionate about it. It's a passion project. It's something that's close to them. Someone in their family has been impacted by that particular issue or condition. Emotion cannot be ignored.
I completely agree. That's how local giving is probably a little bit more emotional.
Yeah.
Another example that the journalist uses is the Notre Dame restoration. Do you know that the Notre Dame...
The university?
No,
in Paris, the cathedral.
The cathedral.
Yeah.
The fire.
Yes.
Do you know how much it costs to restore that?
I can only imagine.
$760 million. And fun fact, so my birthday, we talked about earlier, is April 15th, tax day. And it's also when Abraham Lincoln was assassinated. It's when the Titanic sunk. It is when the Notre Dame was burnt. I don't have a good birthday, Courtney.
These are sad stories. Those are like major
events. What was it? The bombing. Oh, it's so sad. Anyway, I always joke with my family. I'm like, am I the only good thing?
You are the only good thing.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, but top anti-malaria charities, they can save a life for $8,000. So let's just double that to be optimistic, says Mr. Dylan Matthews. $760 million, even if it's spread over a few years, that could save about 48,000 people's lives from malaria. So the question is do we go rebuild this beautiful cathedral or do we save children?
Great question. You would want to say save children. That's just the thing that comes to your mind. And yeah, this is a historical and cultural,
monument.
Iconic.
Yes.
Yeah. But yes.
It's a useful thought experiment.
It really is. Well described. Good job. I like that. If you have a certain budget, if you have a certain amount that you're able to give, where can you make the most impact? But to our earlier discussion, I don't think you can discount emotion.
You can't. He goes further. He gives one other example that I thought is worth sharing. Housing vouchers for people experiencing homelessness in the District of Columbia, D.C. They run up to $30,000 a year. And he claims that as horrific as conditions for DCers experiencing homelessness are, am I willing to let a couple of kids in West Africa die to put one of my neighbors up for a year? Which is interesting. They really go far with this. And he says, I can imagine explaining to kids waiting for their bed nets that my tax dollars are going to help people suffering in the U.S., not Nigeria, because we live in a democracy and democracies have to respond more to the needs of their citizens, even if the needs in a much poorer country like Nigeria are much greater. I won't feel great, but at least there's some kind of legitimate reason. So then he ultimately ends with the sight of rich Westerners like David Geffen directing their philanthropy not towards saving lives, but toward improving the acoustics of the New York Phil fills me with visceral disgust.
Wow.
Yeah. He has very strong feelings.
Yeah.
I get a little bit worried because if I were to go hang out with the EA community, I would feel judged about everything I put money towards. Oh my God, I'm not saving children. There is this air of you should not be doing this because you can have more impact over here. It's kind of like what we were talking about with the causes. Like some people care about animals more, some people care about humans. Yes, you could have a debate on where we should spend our money and time, whether that's animals or humans. At the end of the day, isn't it good that people want to give to both?
Yeah, that's right. No, I think so. And all of these causes are worthy and deserving. And so to pit them against each other and to say that one is more worthy than the other, unfortunately, I think the only residual effect will be less giving and less involvement in philanthropy. Because to your point, they will feel judged or they will feel expected to give to something that they aren't connected to emotionally simply because it practically makes sense. And unfortunately, I just don't think that is a motivator for most people.
It's also more uncertainty about where should I put my money. And the more uncertain you have, analysis paralysis.
Yeah, they just hold on to it. Absolutely.
Then you hold on to it. Is it effective enough? The data and the looking at nonprofits and whether they are effective. Yeah. That's so important. We've talked about effective, efficiency, transparency. That's how I think about it. But also, let's talk about Con Mi Madre. I think about organizations like that and that there's a ripple effect there.
Absolutely. And you're playing the long game, right?
You are playing the long game.
And that's okay. Yep.
I'm really excited to speak with them soon.
Yeah. Thanks, Steph.
We'll be right back. Escape into a Cause is sponsored by Nightlight Insurance Agency. You know how a nightlight gives you comfort and peace of mind in the dark? That's exactly what Nightlight aims to do. Guide you through life's uncertainties with personalized insurance for your home, auto, business, and more. Nightlight Insurance strives to provide its clients the best coverage at the best price without sacrificing on customer service. Here's what one client had to say. Nightlight was able to lower our car insurance significantly, answered all our questions, and returned our calls promptly. Very professional, would highly recommend. So it's no surprise Nightlight has a 5-star rating on Google. Nightlight also makes this podcast possible by covering production costs so all other sponsorship dollars and gifts can go directly to nonprofits and volunteers. And as part of their mission to give back, Nightlight proudly donates $1,000 to every nonprofit we interview. If you are a sponsor interested in giving back to our podcast, please find us on social media and let us know. Nightlight is an agency focused on personalized service and giving back. See how much you could save and how good it feels to have peace of mind by visiting nightlightinsurance.com. Today we're escaping into Con Mi Madre, and I have here Dr. Johanna Moya Fábregas, the executive director. Welcome. I'm really excited to chat with you.
Yeah, thank you. It's a pleasure being here today.
So tell me, what does Con Mi Madre do? And maybe for the non-Spanish speakers, what does that mean?
Let me start with what it means. Con Mi Madre means in Spanish, with my mother. And Madre is also an acronym in English, Mothers and Daughters Raising Expectations. We are a nonprofit that was born right here in the heart of Central Texas in Austin. It started as a project from the Junior League in 1992, and then we became our own nonprofit later on. And our focus is supporting and helping bring out the best out of our students, girls from the 6th through the 12th grade and then college, to help them navigate that path, that journey to and through a post-secondary education. And we do all of that with the involvement of their moms.
That's incredible. And I know Courtney Dickey, who joins me at our Topics That Matter at the beginning of every episode, we talked, I think both her and maybe Piper from I Live Here, I Give Here in the past, have both mentioned Con Mi Madre, definitely connected in the nonprofit space, and you'll do a lot of great work. So that's exciting. I am curious. So when I saw that, of course, the origin was through Junior League before it became its own nonprofit organization.
It started as a project called the Hispanic Mother-Daughter Program.
I saw a statistic, remind me, is that something about 1% in 1992?
Yes.
Can you remind me what the statistic was? Because when I saw it, I was like, is that a real statistic?
It was. What sparked the creation of the program was that, a sad statistic, that a Latina girl from a low-income family had about a 1% chance of making it to college and graduating from college. It was very dire, and that prompted action. And one thing I love about our city here is that people take action. So they decided, how are we going to do it? How are we going to address this issue? And how are we going to do it in a way that is culturally relevant, in a way that it's more holistic in nature? And that's why they went about it by involving the moms in the process.
Yeah, because that's extraordinarily low. And to your point, I do think Central Texas and Austin as a city does know how to step up and take action.
Yes.
So that's great. In terms of the community that you serve, I know it's primarily Austin School District, Del Valle. Those are the two primary school districts in Central Texas. But is there a specific line that's drawn with the community that you serve?
Yes, we have partnerships with 2 school districts, as you mentioned, Austin ISD and Del Valle ISD. With them, we work during the school day within the class. We have cohorts of students across 14 AISD schools and 3 Del Valle schools, where we support the girls through our curriculum every other week. Those are the schools that we are inside the schools, but we also have outside of school programming that involves the moms and year-long workshops, college trips, graduation celebration, all of that. Those are open to students from a wide array of areas and districts. So we also serve students from Round Rock. We have students from Taylor, from Hayes, and all of the surrounding districts to Austin ISD and Del Valle.
How do either mothers or the students find you?
Because we've been around for a long time, there's a big push through word of mouth. Sometimes it's the student that finds us because they're in the middle school and they see that their friend is going off to leaving class a little early and going to this group, and they get curious. We get a lot of referrals that way. We also have counselors within the schools that refer us students. Our moms are a huge community of leaders, and they bring other moms because they see the impact of the program on their own lives. And then we are present at a lot of community spaces. So we table in a lot of community fairs, events, corporate events. They invite us, we're there promoting what we do.
That's great. It sounds like it's fantastic that there's visibility at the schools.
Yeah.
I feel like Latina mothers.
Yes.
There's a cultural aspect to that.
They very much show up. Not only do they show up, like they are very willing to tell us what kind of programming they want to see, what times. We have a lot of communication with our moms to constantly tweak and modify what we're doing to really respond to what they want and to meet them where they're at. They're very involved and leading in this space.
I love that.
Yeah.
You probably wouldn't want it any other way.
Yes.
Great. So now we know a little bit about you guys and the community that you serve. Let's switch gears a little bit to numbers, impact. There's a few programs that you serve, and you went over that a little bit. It's by grade level. Is that right?
We have 3 programs. We have our middle school program, our high school program, and our success program, which is for our college students. 6th through 12th grade involve the moms. To sign up, they have to fill out an application and just agree to be part of it. Everything is free of charge to the families, and there has to be an adult that wants to sign up with their students. So if there's not a mom, but there's a dad, an uncle, a grandpa, a guardian, they can also be part of the program as long as there's an adult with that student. The first part of our program focuses a lot of social emotional topics, and we start working really from the inside out. So exploring, what do the students want to do? What are their dreams? Sometimes when you're the first in your family who might end up going to college, you don't have that network. You haven't heard about it. It hasn't been introduced into your close circle. So we spend a lot of time talking about that and then exploring possibilities and expanding their horizons so that they can dream big, so that there's no limitations in dreaming. Because when you only envision something limited, you're going to go for that. We start with that piece, and as they grow up and go into high school, we focus a lot on college prep, what courses to take, visiting universities, how to get ready for the next steps. And we help them navigate that whole process. And then in college, a student can sign up at any time. They could be part of our whole program since they were in the 6th grade, or they can join whenever. For the college student, there's a lot of walking that road one-on-one with them, like one-on-one support every month, feeling like they belong, helping them connect with resources, and helping them bounce off ideas. That's our college students need a lot of that. There is that support of helping them find their space within their campus and within their university.
Yeah. And from the 6th through 12th grade, those are within workshops that y'all are having those conversations, or?
In 2 places. During the school day, we have a cohort for each grade level. We have a coordinator that meets with that group of students every other week for the whole school year. And simultaneously, out of school, we have workshops on an array of topics that involve, they can go from health, cybersecurity, career explorations, small business ventures. We have a lot of entrepreneurs in our midst to explore all of those things so that they have access to a wider network. We partner with a lot of different community organizations for those workshops, and they usually happen in the evenings, 6 to 8 p.m., and the moms are always included in those.
It's really great what y'all are doing in terms of having those conversations. We're so influenced by our community and the closest people around our circle. It's so critical to have those people around you that you start determining like you have similar goals, and you might not know that's a goal of yours or that you're interested.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You don't know what you don't know until
That's
you
right.
see the options. Yes.
I totally believe in that. That's fantastic. You and I both have chatted with Kyle Sipe from E3 Alliance.
Yes.
And I loved their statistic because they're very data driven and helping with schools. And I think it was 12% of those that don't receive some type of higher education credential. Could be college, could be a trade. That only 12% have a living wage.
Yeah.
So that shows you how critical it is to have higher education.
Yes, and that is something we try to communicate to our students, like that the need of furthering their education with a credential, with an associate's, with a bachelor's, whatever path they want to follow, but driving how important it is to have that post-secondary education to be able to make a living here in Austin. And Austin is getting more expensive.
It is.
Every year. Yep. And it's challenging. And a lot of communities have to leave. A lot of people have to leave their city because they can't afford to live here. Working not just just as an organization with our families to convey that importance. Because a lot of our families, once they're bought into that post-secondary education, what we try to work with the students in not imposing it on them, but helping them explore options and being there to walk along the road with them to reach those options that they may choose. But equally important as an organization is the work of collaborating with industry leaders in different areas, in healthcare, in tech, whatever it might be, to extend the opportunities to our students, to bring them in, to show them the options, and to work alongside with school districts and universities. That there's a lot of partnerships happening right now in Austin to offer different types of certifications before the students even graduate from high school, so that they'll have options once they go on to the next step in their life.
And y'all are very successful at this.
Yes.
Can you share some of those rates?
We have a 97% graduation rate from high school. We push in that process dual credit courses, AP courses, all of these data-proven methods to ensure that the students have a higher chance of landing a good job once they complete a post-secondary education or once, they graduate. We have a 75% college enrollment rate and a 93% college persistence rate. That last one is really important because just enrolling in a post-secondary degree, it's just the first step.
Doesn't guarantee completion.
Yes, and specifically for the majority of the population that we serve, which are Latina women, it's challenging that persisting over those 4 years because there are a lot of other expectations besides their work as a student that fall in this sense of connectivity with their community, with their families. And this guilt sets in as I have to be there for them, but I also want to be in school. So having somebody who can help you walk through that process, not just you as a college student, but your mom as well, because we have families that sometimes face hardship and struggles, and it's not all dependent on their students. To support them, we can connect them with a lot of different resources so that they can go on and excel as a family while the student is excelling in school.
Yeah, and what a burden that puts on children that we want to unburden them so that they can go focus on their success. Starts in kindergarten. Isn't this what we want? We want a literate country that reads, but we also want them, ultimately, the goal is to have a productive workforce, right?
Exactly. And we need that right now.
Yeah, and I can tell you've been talking to Kyle's site from E3 because y'all are saying the same things, and it's really data-driven, and you really can't argue with the data that post-secondary credential is so necessary. And then along the way, the dual credit, you're mentioning the AP classes, everything adds up to a successful workforce.
It does. And we rely a lot on E3 data. We're about to start collaborating on their big project that's coming up in the fall with them, where they're going to involve students, teachers, and families as a team to achieve certain goals by school. And we're going to be part of that process. I also sit on their board and very proud to be part of that space because it's a fantastic organization.
It's great. And it's so important to bring the whole family together.
Yes.
Austin Angels, they help support families that have children that have gone through the foster care system.
Yeah.
And I love that they focus on the entire family.
Yes.
Because that's needed, the whole family unit to be on board.
Yeah, that's true. And if you really want to support a student, you have to convey to that student that you care. And what best way to convey that you care is that caring for their families as well and showing that you really mean it and that you're part of the process. For a long time, there have been a lot of approaches to address education gaps that look at the student almost as existing in a vacuum and don't take into account all of the other social factors that are just as important as the academic support that you will provide a student to achieve a lot of things and to excel in school. So bringing in the family and bringing in that holistic focus gives us great results. And it's not a one-year result, it's a long-term result that can change generational poverty patterns, that can change the fabric of a family in the future.
That's wonderful. Also, you served almost 1,980, I believe, between students and mothers.
Yes, about 980, and that number is already going up because we're recruiting students for the next school year.
Yeah, they see the success
Yes,
they're in.
And it's what brings them in, what keeps people in is is the sense of community. We just had our graduation ceremony this weekend. We had about 150 people there, including students and families and community partners. And it's hard to describe that sense of family, of connection. And people were genuinely happy to be there. And we do this work with a lot of joy, focusing on what people already have going on for them and trying to unearth and bring that out rather than, if you don't do this, you're not going to succeed. No, the language is very much, look at all the great things that you're already bringing to the table and the great resources we have here. And we can do this together as a community. So we see our moms forming bonds with other families, our students. So when they come together for this big event, is that sense of family that keeps people coming back.
Celebrating those big wins together. It gives me chills because I am one of those people that I'm not crying all the time from sad stuff, but the minute you put on something super heartwarming and happy, I'm like, just tears.
I'm the same. Yes, even like just saying a welcome to the event on Saturday, to the graduation, I choked up, literally just remembering that moment, because I asked people, think about this present moment, all of the little details. You put your cap and gown, you saw your mom smile, you enjoyed being here with your friends, because that's what you're going to carry with you. So enjoy it, be present, don't focus so much on what's going to happen after I do this or after I do that, and just be here present. And just saying that.
Yeah. Oh my
I got all emotional. I was like, okay, I got really into the moment.
I love that. I've had some of my family members go, Stephanie, you're not that emotional. And I say, when someone tells me something sad, I'm either probably getting a little angry because I want to go fix it, or I'm like problem solving in the back of my head or something. But when I just see pure joy and something that's so beautiful, I'm just in the moment at that time. And then y'all have some signature events. I know that you just had the awards, so you're celebrating huge milestones, which are graduation, and I know incoming freshmen, and then high school and college grads. Are there other kind of big events throughout the year that you want to share?
Every year, we start the year in August with our Welcome Back events, which it's like a combination of a resource and college fair, all meshed together. We invite a lot of community partners to come and share like the resources that they have, or companies that support Con Mi Madre to come and talk about their career opportunities, universities to talk to students, and any other services like mental health resources, resources for wellness. All of that comes together into a gym. And then we also have at that event keynote speaker, and our students meet their coordinators for the year, and our moms come together. So it's a big event, very exciting to be part of, and it starts in August. We also have 2 college trips that we do every year, one in the fall and the spring. We take a group of girls with their moms. I don't know if I mentioned, but most of our students will be the first in their family to go to college. And that's a big deal. So bringing them with their moms to the school and asking questions and eating at the cafeteria, seeing the dorms, it's huge, because if you've never had that experience, going in there for the first time as a parent, for our parents, it's like this sense of relief. Oh my gosh, this place is beautiful. The people are very kind. My daughters, they're going to be safe. They're going to be well taken care of here. And for the student, it's like this moment where it's magical. It's like, I can see myself walking this campus. We've had students that have decided on a university after a college trip because of how they felt in that space. And they're like, I want to go there. Now I know that's what I'm going to shoot for. I'm going to focus on that university. So those trips are very important in solidifying that buy-in into a post-secondary degree. And imagine if a student joins in the 6th grade and they're with us through the 12th grade, by the time they graduate, they would have attended at least 8 college trips in their lifetime. And some students don't even get to go to a college trip until they're in high school, about to graduate.
So wait, sorry, what grades?
6. They start going from the 6th grade through the 12th grade on the college.
Every year?
They can go every year, twice per year.
That's incredible. And you know what? I just want to parallel this real quick with my experience. I went to the community college route, which Kyle and I talked through E3 Alliance. He's a big proponent of going through the community college route, and then landed at University of Texas eventually. But I packed my own stuff, moved to, at first it was the Bay Area Community College in San Francisco, and didn't really have any guidance, never toured a school. I've never taken an SAT to this day. And I graduated UT McCombs. I mean, that's wild. I had no guidance. I am lucky that I got all the way through and everything. Loved that I got my higher education degree, and I'm not first gen. My dad also had his degree. My mom did not. But my son just took him on college tours in spring break of this year. He's a sophomore. And it's so funny because most of the people are juniors. So they asked, how many many juniors? Almost everyone is saying, oh, is there anyone in 10th grade? And he's the only one who raises his hand. And they're like, oh, good, you're going early. But what he said at the end of that trip, we visited 4 schools. He said, wow, this abstract thing that I've been thinking about, just college, go to college, and you go to college. That's what we've been telling him. It finally makes sense what he's working towards.
Exactly.
Because he looks around and he goes, oh my gosh, if I do well in school now, I can now live here for 4 years and get to experience film school and get to be in this cool studio. Like, that's awesome. And it just feels so much more concrete. So I can't imagine, like, it's probably building that engagement and excitement from the student to want to do well in school now. But also probably if you're a first generation college student, getting the mom more comfortable, letting them go, maybe.
That's a huge part. It was funny. We had a visit this year. We kept our visitors closer to us. And so we had one in St. Edwards, and they treated us so well, like all of our families. And there was a session where we ended at one of the dorms and they got to ask questions. And it was funny, the questions around, is there a curfew? And are they going to be safe? And what's happening here? And so you could see all of those parent anxiety come out. But at the end, they came out feeling really good about the safety of their student. We've also had moms who get worried about their kids going out of state. And that's one where it requires a lot of conversation to show them that, hey, look, you've prepared them really well up to this point. Like, they are strong, they're focused, they're going to do great. And for those students that go out of state and that the mom is hesitant at first, once they have that experience of being a freshman and they get like halfway through the year and they get homesick, usually those same parents that showed a lot of resistance or worry are the ones that back up the students the most to stick through the process, to stay there, to push through it, and to let them know, hey, the first year is always the hardest. You're going to be fine. And that emotional support is one, and proven by research, one of the top factors in students making it through their freshman year, especially first-gen students. That's why you have universities that put a lot of emphasis on supporting freshmen, because they need to feel like they can do this, that they belong. And imagine if you're the first in your family to go through that, no one talked to you about it because no one has gone through it, and then it gets difficult. And, a young person, their first line of thought is, I'm not cut out for this, I'm not good enough, I don't really understand. Everybody else knows this but me. And that self-talk sets in, and it can be very detrimental. So having a group, a community of people and family that, even if they haven't been through that experience, they can walk you through it and support you through it is very important for them to succeed.
Yeah. It could be the coursework feels difficult that freshman year, but that happens to a lot of people. But sometimes you might think, oh, it's because I'm first generation.
Exactly.
I'm not good enough. Or I feel like it's the same thing if you're like a woman in a boardroom of men. Yeah. You might not feel like you belong. So you might be questioning, why are you there?
Exactly. It's being the first in any space. You need those people that can support you, can talk through that process with you, whether they're in the middle of that space or outside. That is so critical to be able to navigate any place. That happened to me. I moved to the States at 14, didn't speak the language. And 4 years later, I was in college in the Midwest. There were not many Spanish-speaking people in the late 90s in Wisconsin. And
are there even today?
There are more, a little bit more. And going through, and it was a school kind of the equivalent of UT, but in Wisconsin. So it was big school, very challenging for people whose first language was English. So imagine for me, having only learned the language for 4 years and trying to catch up and figure 500 student classes and all of that. I did have a lot of moments where I was like, oh my gosh, it's because I don't speak the language. It's because of that. And it took great supports built in within the school. In this case, they had a bridge program that I did that walked me through all of that. And thanks to them, I was able not to just emotionally do well, and thanks to my parents, but also have the resources and tutors and mentors for my classes and all of that. We really need all of it for our students.
That's what it is. People sometimes think if you have the financial means and the opportunity, you should be able to seize it.
Yes.
I think it takes more. It takes a community. And you've really given me some good information to think about is the fact of these parents that are, specifically the moms that are navigating the system with them. They will be more supportive and not go, oh yeah, come on home. I want you back home. They've heard from you guys the data. They want a better future for their daughter. And as much as they probably want their daughter back, I can't imagine sending my kid off. But I would go, they're more inclined to say, no, you've got this.
Exactly. And they've also been part of a community of moms in our program who have already had kids graduate from college. They have other people to say, hey, hey, I went through that too. It was really hard with my kid, but look, they stuck through it. Every year we do a small panel with moms from Con Mi Madre on emptiness syndrome and what they can expect to feel and how to work through that and what supports are available for that. And it's beautiful to see them showing up for each other, and it really comes in handy. I have a stepdaughter that is a freshman this year, and we felt the absence. We felt that.
Okay,
like,
that's something
missing.
I will be sad about, that I will cry about.
Yes, it was hard. And now she's back for the summer, thriving, doing great. But even though we've been through that process, both my husband and I, it was still hard. It's hard for everybody.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Thanks for sharing all the impact that you guys are doing. Want to maybe dive into some stories that will help listeners connect with Con Mi Madre? Do you have something you can share?
The first one that comes to mind, we have a student this year who graduated from an AISD graduate. She applied to a lot of schools that she got into, and one of those was Columbia University in New York, which is very tough to get into.
It's an amazing school.
Yeah, she got in with a full ride, and there was that like excitement, but also that fear from her parents. New York, it's a big city. Imagine like your kid coming from Austin, from your home off to New York. And I want to share, like, they had the opportunity to visit the school, but one key support for the family in supporting their student and making the decision was our program director. Our program director went to grad school, was the first one in her family to leave her hometown in the Valley in Texas. And she came here for undergrad and went to New York for grad school and was the only one in her family to experience that. And she went to Columbia. As a young Latina who also experienced a lot of those steps, she was able to talk to the family and talk to the process and what to do, what not to do, where to go. They all went for the college visit with their student. I think they drove there to see the school, and she's committed to going there, and she's going to be going in the fall. So seeing someone who was even not sure if she was college material when she started to being in an Ivy League school is a big, big success, and it's important to celebrate that. We have another student who's been with us since the 6th grade, like her and her sister. Her sister graduated from UT and are in Excel now. She's at St. Ed's, and we've seen her kind of blossom, not just into a successful student, but into a leader, like somebody who's showing up actually with some E3 Alliance legislation focus events that we've had to bring awareness of education needs and the needs of students to legislators at the Capitol. She's been there, ready to share, to support, and she wants to go into law. And you see this passion come out. What brings me a lot of joy is not just, oh, they check the box and they're going to have a high-paying job and they're going to be able to make ends meet. That is just the very basic of what you're hoping. But the most important thing is they're doing something they're really passionate about and they're really excited about. And those students reach out to me, I want to do an internship with a judge. Can you connect me to a judge? And because we have a big network, we can do things like that and connect our students and see those passions materialize. And it's just really beautiful to see that.
It's incredible. Interviewed National Hispanic Institute, NHI.
Yeah.
They're really doing a lot of great work with those kids-built
We're
leaders.
referring a lot of students to them too.
Keep doing that.
Yes.
Listen to their episode. They are both college-bound, Issa and Lucas.
Yes.
I chatted with them instead of an executive director. So it's the only time that I chatted with students.
That's
and that
awesome.
was really fun because they were so impressive.
Oh, they are. The students that come out of the National Hispanic Institute are leaders at every capacity. Within our board, we have a lot of NHI alumni.
Yeah.
We had a few years ago, we recognized the founders of NHI. They're people who flew from across the country who had worked with them as high schoolers just to honor them, like to Austin. We had in our gala that year about 3 tables full of people that were just NHI that came from all over because the program had been that impactful in their lives, which is awesome.
When I was researching about first generation college students and leadership, something that I found very crazy statistic. In the past 10 years, I found this on Investopedia, which has lots of Forbes and Fortune types data all combined. They said that businesses have grown 44% owned by Latinos
Yes.
in the past 10 years, compared to 4% for other groups. And I was like, what? That's wild. And seats in DC have increased with Hispanic leaders. You can see it in congressional seats. I think they've made huge strides where it's now 11%, but there's a ways to go to hit that kind of 20% demographic that we see here in our country. It's really exciting to see Hispanic leaders, and it's because of organizations like you guys.
You hit a really important point in terms of driving the economy. And when we look at Texas, it's the majority, and the majority of children under 18 are Latinos in Central Texas. This is our future workforce, and not so far away future workforce. It's so important to make all of these resources available to support people, because if our Latino community is thriving as the fastest growing, our whole community will be thriving. So it's really important to put resources and time into their education.
Yeah, and to have Latino leaders that can speak to the community. Yeah. I think that's great. You've shared some great stories. I love them. I make every guest give a good brag. And this is where you have to share something that you're proud of yourself for that is not related to this nonprofit. Tell me, Johanna, is there something that you've been proud of?
Two things that I'm very proud of. I'm a graduate of Leadership Austin, and I had the privilege of being part of this great community of people, of leaders across Austin who are doing great work. Through them, I have a chance to share my work, but also learn about the incredible work of other organizations and boards that they serve on. Recently, I've been learning more and more about urban roots. And I had this opportunity over the winter, I think it was in December. It was a really rainy day, but we still went out in the rain to harvest vegetables, to see their students. And they put a lot of work into just teaching students about food, about planting things, about how the earth works, eating healthy. But through that, they're building leadership skills and with teenagers, and just being part of taking out time to go and volunteer with this organization and continuing to learn more about what they do has been very inspiring for me. As a leader of a nonprofit, being immersed in a lot of other spaces in the community that give you inspiration, it's almost like they give you fuel and energy to show up to do your work, because you see all of the amazing things that are happening, and having education around sustainable eating and a sustainable life in our time in history is so important. So I'm really excited to continue to learn what they do, and I'm trying to bring more people to volunteer and figuring out how we can bring our students, and just really excited about their work right now.
Oh, it's so cool. It just goes to show you, which I'm trying to get listeners to do, right, is to find your cause and step up, unplug, step up. And you just showed that when you step up, right, to give back, you're inspired.
Oh,
and
definitely.
You're motivated,
Yes.
and you are joyful from this, and just how much it comes back your way. That was a great, good brag. I really love that. I know you also said that I said that you could also just say parenting.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that you're a good parent by the way we talked about our kiddos.
Yeah, everybody hears about our kiddos through me, but
no, I love it.
Yes, it's exciting as a parent to see your kids' passions come to life and to see them shape. I have a 12-year-old in middle school, and she's become very involved in theater. And seeing her from going a kid that is an introvert and to step up on stage and shine and feel like herself and sign herself up for things. No one pushes her to those things. It's all her. And being in those spaces where your kids feel confident to bring out their own leadership for themselves, to see them supporting others in those spaces. As a parent, that is the best thing that you could hope for, because all of the accomplishments on paper, they remain there. But when you see your kid shining and happy and making decisions about what they want to do, I don't think it gets better than that. And if it does, I'll tell you when it gets better than that.
I think you just totally bragged about your kid. You are very supportive of her, which it clearly shows. But two, every time my son is a good reflection, either my sons are a good reflection of me, I always look at my husband and go, that was because of us, right?
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
We can't really take that much credit. I just always like, okay, I'm going to take a little bit of credit.
But you're right, that support is so important. I was really close to my parents. When your parent is conveying to you that you can do anything, of course you have to work hard, you have to get organized, you have priorities, but you can do anything. That's a powerful feeling. And sometimes we take that for granted, but it goes a long way. I know it's helped me. I still believe it. Years down the line, I'm still like, yeah, I can learn that. I'll figure it out.
That's fine. Okay, now that you have shared your good brag, I want to turn the table for listeners to give them chance for bragging rights to show up for Con Mi Madre. How are ways that people can show up for you guys?
There's a lot of ways to support. So first, I encourage everyone to follow us on social media, on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. We have our website, conmimadre.org, very easily. But where we post a lot of our opportunities is in our social media. Through our social media is where we post the most up-to-date opportunities to get involved for some of our signature events, our orientation, our college trip, our galas, our graduation. We have a Mother's Day brunch, a holiday event for our families. We always need volunteers. So it's a great way to get involved and learn what we're about and meet our awesome community that I'm happy to brag about. And there's ways of supporting also financially through our website, through our social media. There you will see opportunities to just donate. Any amount helps and it adds up, not just financially, but I always like to remind people that when you're donating to an organization like this that works with students, that works with youth, you are a stranger that is conveying to that student that you believe in them. I try to tell this to our students when I talk to them directly, when I address them. You have hundreds of people here who are showing up for you because they believe in what you're capable of. So any amount helps. We have a Giving Society. We have sponsorship opportunities.
In the Giving Society, you're making reoccurring donations, correct?
You can make reoccurring donations. It's the Giving Society is $1,000 per year, but you can donate really at any amount and be connected to us. And we have lots of sponsorship opportunities. So if anyone listening is connected to a company and they want to sponsor in any way, please reach out to us. We're happy to involve you. Our community partners are the people who help us do the work that we do, and we need everybody at the table.
Yeah, so show up for workshops, and they can even help train if they have that specialty you're saying, or just give to that workshop, right?
Yeah, we've done a workshop with different financial institutions, cybersecurity, real estate. We've done a workshop with health institutions. So there's a lot of opportunities for our families to learn a lot of things. And because they really trust us and they have a good community with us, when we listen to what they want to see and we find those partnerships out in the community and bring them together, and it expands their network. There's a lot of entrepreneur-leaning families like that have their own business or are starting a business.
Well, we said 44% growth, right?
We see it. We actually have a partnership coming up with EGVI for a mother-daughter business boot camp. And because we've noticed a lot of the moms that have their business, they might know a part of the process, the management, but then you have the daughters who are just supporting with social media and marketing. So it's like, why don't we train them both and give them this opportunity to have a certificate and go out there and do their thing?
That's great. Yeah, I love that. So donate, volunteer, workshops, sponsor, and those are all great things. Is there anything else or anything top of mind, anything that you want to share?
Right now, we're going through a tough political climate, and a lot of the resources that have been cut out of education and a lot of the things that are happening can be very demoralizing for students. So supporting this time and spreading the word of programs, not just like Con Mi Madre, but all of the other great programs in Central Texas that are working to support youth, it's very critical because we do have the power to do something to support students. So I just want to encourage everyone to just spread the word with any nonprofit that is showing up to support, because we are one of so many wonderful nonprofits in this space.
So important. Yeah. Step up, help, and donate, volunteer. Formal volunteerism has been down. Courtney and I discovered this. We've said that dollars are up, donors are down, meaning less people are contributing. Yeah. But this means like probably the ultra rich are giving to a few nonprofits when they mean dollars, right? Yes. So it's across all nonprofits. So this is really a time with the changes in the administration, the National Endowment of Arts, for people to really just step up and give whatever they can. I love it. Thanks for sharing everything. I love what y'all are doing.
Thank you. And thanks for creating this beautiful, in every sense. It felt great to be here in just a beautiful studio.
Let's just push record studios. I got to give them some credit. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks.
Con Mi Madre is a reminder that real impact starts close to home with moms, daughters, and the belief that education opens doors. If you want to support that mission, here's how to show up. Donate, whether it's $10 or $1,000. Your gift tells a young Latina, I believe in you, and you can join the Giving Society with just $1,000 annual donation or contribute whatever feels meaningful. Volunteer. They need help at events like college tours, graduation celebrations, holiday gatherings, and more. Follow them on Instagram and Facebook to stay up to date on opportunities. Sponsor or partner. Do you have a business? Are you an employer? If you're connected to a business or have skills to share, finance, cybersecurity, real estate, health, consider leading and sponsoring a workshop. Your knowledge could be the next door opener. Want a chance to win Texas Stars hockey tickets? Show up for a cause and share it on social media. You can use #GoodBrag and DMS, and you can also visit escapeintoacause.com and get matched with a nonprofit that fits you. Either way, you'll be entered to win. Thanks to Dr. Johanna Moya Fábregas and the Con Mi Madre team. Thank you to Nightlight Insurance Agency for presenting Escape Into a Cause and donating to Con Mi Madre to support their mission. Big thanks to Todd Thompson for editing and mixing, Graham Thompson and Jane Dyer for the music, Corey McCain at Just Push Record Studios, and Ashlyn O'Neill for digital content. Next Thursday, we will escape into Collins Hope, a nonprofit working to prevent drowning through water safety education, awareness, and action. Because drowning is fast, silent, and preventable, and every child deserves to be safe. I hope you join us next week as we escape into a cause.